How you on, Tim?
Brother, I'm good. We're out of lockdown.
Feels good, doesn't it?
It does feel good. We're free.
Our lockdown episode is going to come out this week, though.
Yeah.
When the lockdown's over.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
You know, people understand the lag, I think.
Yeah.
It's all good.
It's the continuity of life.
I don't have to explain myself to you.
Yeah, thanks for listening, but go fuck yourself. So.
No, we're thankful for all of the people that have shown us some love so far. It's been very heartening, actually. Get some messages, people like quoting stuff at us that we've said. I'm like, oh shit, people are listening. That's nice.
Yeah, that's really
real
good.
nice. Yeah,
nice of them to do because they definitely did not have to do that.
Yeah, I've definitely taken that like attitude that you sort of talked about. It was like, I don't expect anyone to listen to this, but if you do, like that's such a nice thing to do. Like it's to give your time to us is just super nice, I think.
Yeah. And we're glad that the people that are enjoying it are getting something in return, you know, like
something.
Yeah,
you're getting something.
They're getting something out of it. Yeah, it's been positive. But there's been a couple of comedians actually, because it's, you know, it's the people on similar wavelengths and stuff tell jokes about the fact that, you know, people coming out to see comedy shows, for example, they're like, it's way easier to not do something than it is to do something. The fact that people go out to shows and they're like, a lot of comedians are aware of the fact as well, and musicians as well, people that are coming out to see you perform, you know, if they've got kids and stuff, they've had to organise someone to look after it. You know, they might have had to take leave to come from somewhere. You know,
hell, even if you don't have all those things, like you're competing against the algorithm, really. Like, you could easily just scroll and scroll and scroll and have the world's content at your fingertips.
It's way easier to not do something than to do something. The fact that people do anything is remarkable.
Yeah, I mean, I've not seen Wall-E, but I have seen that scene at the start where like the machines are like feeding them, and like humans in the future are just like they're so overweight and whatever, like that they can't even like they've got something walking for them and like all that sort of stuff. And I was just like, are we actually on that trajectory?
There was a terrible Bruce Willis movie, surprisingly, called Surrogates. Do you remember Surrogates?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah, so similar sort of thing is people sit at home, and it's sort of like Ready Player One as well, I guess. People sit at home, they put on their VR thing, and they have someone avatar going out walking around. But the Surrogates was actual, like a actual person. Oh yeah, but like an android that went out and lived their life
for you
on behalf of you. Yeah, so they were your surrogate.
It's been a while since I've seen that one.
Yeah, look, it was not super memorable. I just remember the concept of there were people that their surrogates that were out in the world might be like a big, strong, intimidating black guy, but it's really just some skinny white dude at home that's, you know, built himself a big, strong avatar.
Yeah. Do you remember a couple of years ago, there was a thing, it was a service, I think maybe in New York, where you could hire someone to, like, if say you couldn't attend a birthday party or something like that, a person would attend the party and they'd have an iPad on their face where they were FaceTiming, and so it was like you were attending the party.
I do remember that, yeah. I mean, look, innovate. So the problem with that is, that seems really stupid, but there's a lot of people have had to do a lot of really stupid things on paper to come up with really good things. So the fact that people tried that is just testament to, you know, innovation in progress.
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
true.
Because, I mean, you know, Zoom. I mean, we did our thing last week on Zoom, and, you know, maybe 10, 20 years ago, people would go, why would you ever do that?
Yeah. The funniest thing that I thought going into the pandemic and being, you know, locked away at home and doing Zoom meetings every day was the thing that really occurred to me was like, imagine being Skype at that time when Zoom was this thing that like had so little market share.
The most powerful cuckold in the history of tech.
Yeah.
Maybe like, not the whole history of tech, but
even
the recent.
Microsoft bought Skype, and even the power, having Skype built into your Windows system, and people are like, nah, I'd much rather use Zoom.
I'm going to have to remember to link. College Humor have a video. They have a video series called like just basically CEO, and it's the same guy gets on every time, and he's the CEO of X company that's going through a controversy at the time. So they did one where he pretended to be the CEO of Tide and telling people you're not supposed to eat our Tide Pods, but we are bringing out a new range of blah, and they give him the thing to spruik, and he's like, this also looks like food. Like, why are we making things look like food?
Look like candy.
And so they did one with the Skype thing of him just being really dejected and we had it all there. It all works. Like, we've given you everything you want and you're just ignoring us. Like, why? It's been free forever. We've been doing this for you. And you just got to imagine that they're just sitting there tearing their hair out.
Yeah. Man, stocks in Zoom. That would have been something to invest in.
I will say Microsoft Teams, though, has done pretty well for itself.
Oh, it has? Okay.
Yeah.
I've not bothered.
Surprising amount of people use that.
Okay.
Yeah. Tim and I, we have a little thing. Not to go too deep into
our relationship,
into our relationship, but not to go too deep into the technical behind the scenes stuff. But Tim and I have a little rivalry going on between our use of Dropbox or Google Drive.
Oh yeah,
I'm a
Dropbox team.
I'm a Google Suite guy. That's me. I've been using that for a really long time. Tim's been using Dropbox for a really long time. And so we sort of have this tug of war going on between how we share things around. So I want to hear from you guys. Are we talking
Dropbox Master Race?
Fuck you. Are we talking Dropbox Master Race? Are we talking Google Suite Master Race? Or is there some people out there using OneNote, which is one of the most horrendous things I've ever had to fucking use? Great idea, shit execution. Anyway, well, I want to hear from you guys. Tell me I'm right and Tim's wrong. Love you. You got a tune, champ?
Yeah. I mean, it's once again a disclaimer. It's one I'm working, and obviously we've talked about Sleep Token before, but they dropped another.
I did
single,
see that,
and it's called "The Love You Want," and it's got like a beautiful dance sequence in this sort of like, and they're all sort of dressed as like geisha type women, and it's in like a lotus blossom sort of garden, and with like Vessel walking around, sort of in like sort of samurai type garb and his mask.
This feels very Sleep Token.
Yeah. And yeah, he's got a big ninja sword and stuff, and like the last film clip was him like essentially doing like real like Sith Lord sort of stuff. Like he was there, he's like crumpling people with his hands. And
every time I see a press photo of him, I'm like, this looks like I always think, is this Star Wars? Oh no, wait, this is Sleep Token.
Yeah, the mask is very like it feels it doesn't actually feel like movie or TV Star Wars. It feels like game Star Wars.
Yeah.
It feels like Darth Revan out of Knights of the Old Republic. It feels like that sort of. It feels like non-canon Star Wars.
Yeah,
to me,
home-ran Star Wars.
Yeah, that's some deep cut Star Wars shit. And like, yeah, this one's not as heavy as the last one, and it kind of gets real heavy at the end of the song. It's just got like this real. It's essentially like piano and voice for about 2/3 of the song. And then it like really ramps up and finishes hard, which is, like it's kind of what you want from Sleep Token. You want to kind of be mesmerized by Vessel's voice first, and you just kind of fall in love with it, and then it just goes real dark.
Makes for a like a more sort of captivating single.
Yeah. I mean, if you go back and look at Sundowning, the album before, like. The one song that on that album that I reckon this song is like is one called Bloodsport, and it was, the lyric in that is like, I made loving you a blood sport. And it's just like, and it just gets repeated, and it's like a similar sort of like, if you were to graph it, the sort of peaks and troughs of the song would probably line up. I would say,
right.
Yeah. But
I'm a big fan of a repeated vocal, actually. Like, there's a lot of people that'll go, hear a song and they go, man, like, I know Alkaline was basically the same kind of verse. Like, it was kind of like a chorus the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't feel like verse chorus. It kind of felt like a poem repeated a bunch of times.
Yeah, definitely.
But I do like, I remember.
I love the drop in on Alkaline where he's like, let's talk about chemistry.
Yeah,
And
you're
it's
right.
like,
I forgot about that bit actually. Yeah,
just
yeah.
like drops in on chemistry.
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
like, oh yeah, it hits. Just
It's what's that? What does that remind me of? That there's a band that reminds me of, but it gives me that sort of mid 2000s kind of not new metal, but like that vibe. It's got a sort of
there's a real Deftones to them, man. Like there's a real. It's not. Neither of them are super heavy bands, and I don't even think Deftones would count themselves as like a heavy band. I just think they happen to write rock music that has like a real metallic and dark edge to it.
Yeah.
And I think that's what like Sleep Token does. Like
moody as fuck.
Yeah. I mean, go listen to like Change in the House of Flies or something like that from Deftones. It's got that same vibe.
It took me a really long time to get into Deftones actually.
Yeah.
Because because it was just before like my musical sort of peak in high school, so the thing that you connect with the most when you're like 15 is kind of the thing, your musical taste will change and evolve and stuff, but like I feel like you and the EO guys that we know, like the guys from Epidemic Over, they all sort of come up at this time when it was at its peak.
Yeah.
So it took me a long time to get into it afterwards because it's not a really accessible band unless you were there.
Yeah, a little bit. And it's probably feels pretty dense to kind of get into because there's so much history with it. I think like if you had to jump in at this album that's just gone, I think you'd probably miss a lot of stuff and you'd be like, yeah, this feels like the same song over and over. Yeah. But there's just like, there's so much history with that band and so much nuance and so many like changes in style over the years. Like they've had real new metal records and they've had really like low, energy albums, like where it's been sort of far more like electronic and just vocal and stuff like that. And then they've done a really heavy album and, they've kind of gone all over the place. And if you kind of don't understand that history, you're going to find it pretty weird to get into.
Hard to quantify. Because I know for me now that I feel like playlisting really is such a big part of my life now.
Yeah.
The way that we consume music has changed a lot. And I remember when I was a teenager, I'd get an album and I'd just flog an album. Yeah. And whereas now I'm kind of playlisting, and I think with a band like Deftones, you could maybe access them a little bit better through playlisting and certain songs rather than tackling a whole album.
You could probably make 4 or 5 Deftones playlists with just like different vibes.
Yeah.
And they're not necessarily going to go down album lines, but you could have like really aggressive Deftones. You could have really sexual Deftones. You could have really like chill vibe Deftones. You could have really like almost like at times progressive Deftones.
Yeah, like the more experimental stuff.
Yeah. Like there's going to be some crossover. There'll be some tracks that are across a couple, but like, yeah, like there's, I think I'm going to make that sexual Deftones playlist. Actually, that's a good one.
That's good. Well, keep that in mind. Moving right along.
Yeah.
Shit. So my track today is, weirdly enough, I have been going through the throwback thing. I mentioned on a couple of podcasts ago that I've found this old USB of music that's got all this old shit, and I've been going back through. And I also played a cover show recently where I cover this song, and I forget how much I like the original. It's No One Knows by Queens of the Stone Age.
Banger.
Right? Absolute banger. Recently,
that's one song I can play on the drums really well.
It's good fun. It's a pretty simple song, but like there's just something to grab on.
There's odd timing on it.
Yeah, there's some stuff that's going on in there that's kind of interesting. But also the thing I like so much about that song is that it feels like it stands alone in there discography.
Definitely.
It's not completely different to all their stuff, but there's just something about it. There's listening to, so what, like with the Deftones thing, there's listening to an album of Queens of the Stone Age or putting a playlist on or whatever, but then there's also just that song. So if you got a mix on for a party or something like that, and that song comes on, it has its own vibe compared to all their other shit.
Agreed.
But the reason I wanted to bring it up was about 6 or 8 months ago, I was listening to a video where someone analysed that whole album that it came off, Songs for the Deaf.
Yep.
And the fact that that album, you know, it's got all the weird radio stuff going on in it.
I do. Most Queens of the Stone Age albums have radio interludes.
Yeah. There's something going on.
Before we get into this, so my ex-wife, her favourite band was Queens of the Stone Age.
Of course.
And we had all of the records on vinyl.
Yep.
We had all of them, including a bunch of bootlegs that I bought in France and to bring back for her. And shortly before we split, I bought Songs for the Deaf because it got re-released and was going to be like a limited run. And so I bought it, and it was going to be for her. And then the pandemic kicked in, and it sat at Jet Black Cat Records for a number of months.
Right.
And to which I was like, I was pretty sure that it would be gone, that they would have resold it. But they held it there for me. And I just one random Saturday when the pandemic was sort of, when we were allowed out of lockdown, I just randomly went in and I picked it up. So that now is the only Queens of the Stone Age record that I own on vinyl, but it's also her favourite.
Yeah.
So there's this there's a nice like but also
yeah, it gives you well, I mean, and what it's kind of the best one to have too.
Yeah,
it
is the best one.
They have plenty of great albums, but like it's the most iconic one, I think.
I had 2 of their new one. I had 2 of Villains. I bought like a special edition and I bought all of those records.
Yeah, and none of them are yours now.
None of them are mine now. But anyway,
I mean, that's the way the cookie crumbles.
That is the way the cookie crumbles.
Well, what I was going to say was, I was listening to this thing, so I didn't realize. I thought the radio stuff was just kind of a gimmick that, you know, they had stuff on there, but
because on Songs for the Deaf, it's all in Spanish.
Most of it, yeah. So I didn't realize that Songs for the Deaf is actually a concept record that's about a drive through the desert. I had no idea.
The film clips tell that story.
Right.
That go along with it. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I did know that obviously there's a desert vibe going on, but I didn't realize that it's the drive from LA to, I won't remember where it is.
It's like Joshua Tree, isn't it?
Joshua Tree, yeah. And so as the album goes on, it goes from being like sort of LA rock kind of vibes to just getting really bushwhacked kind of and heavy and weird. And so I didn't realize.
Well, I mean, you go back to the Caius kind of like it's all desert stoner rock. Like, and then you sort of bring their influences forward to that. And it's, and Queens of Stone Age do the desert sessions. They do. Yeah. They literally go out and trip and record shit.
So it just goes to show, though, you obviously know a lot more about the band than I do, because when I learned all that,
my ear talked off about them.
Exactly.
Josh Homme is especially.
Yeah. But yeah, so for me to find that out, I was like, oh, everything. And so I got to go back and listen to that album with sort of fresh ears.
Oh, and with Dave Grohl on drums on that one too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But that was the thing, was learning that. And that's what I find interesting about when you get this music trivia, you get this thing or this bit of behind the scenes stuff or an extra part of the puzzle you didn't have. Yeah. And then all of a sudden you're like, okay,
falls into place.
There's all this shit I've been listening to all these years, but I wasn't listening to it in that context. And then you get to go back and it's like a birthday present, man.
Yeah, new appreciation for sure.
It was fucking sick.
The thing that I love about that song in particular, no one knows, is that hanging note. So there's like, you know, it's like dun, 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 dun,
yeah.
It just like, as a drummer, like, like you just like you're back on the note again. It's like,
that's what I love about playing it live when I play it on acoustic, because my version's very stripped back. It's obviously just my acoustic, and then I'd loop like a little drum beat that just like loop the basic beat, and it's me playing over it, but it's all about where I put the starts and the stops and hang notes. And but it's so fun to play and sing that live, because it's not a song people hear very often at pubs. Like
No,
it doesn't come up.
But they know it.
But they know it.
Yeah,
and if you get the right crowd and you're playing it the right way and everything,
You
just
see heads turn.
people light up and they go, "Oh, fucking wow.
Queens.
He's not playing K-San.
Yeah, like, hey, what? Queens?
What the fuck? Yeah."
Yeah.
So that's been like, if I'm having a bad set,
That could
like,
make or break your night.
yeah, for me, it's like if I'm having a set where I'm bored and I'm playing the same songs that people go, "Oh, I want to hear this," and you go, "I don't want to play that, but okay, I'll play it anyway."
Yeah.
When you hear me play Queens of the Stone Age, 9 times out of 10, it's for me. It's me going, all right, time to do something I want to do.
You got to get something out of a cover set. And like, sorry to break the fourth wall on covers musicians to anyone listening. Yeah. Like, whew, it can be a real punish playing covers.
It can be, man.
And very rarely is it nourishing or soul satisfying.
You know when it is when you get to play in a band.
Yeah.
So the soloists out there that are standing in the corner of the pub that are maybe just a guitar
playing
and
in front of the TAB screens.
Yeah, or the footy's on behind them.
Yeah.
And so you'll get there was one night I got to the end of a song, I got a clap and I was like, thanks guys. And then in the middle of the next song, I got another clap and I realised, oh, the footy's on behind me. Someone scored a try at the end of my song.
Yeah. It can be pretty soul crushing.
Yeah, it can be.
But, I mean, there's been nights where I've played in covers bands previously and, like, some nights that you just, like, the pub will really kick off and there'll be a big dance floor and, like, those nights can be fun.
Mm.
You don't know. Like, and actually, this is the funny thing. Tell me if you've ever had this experience where after you've finished a covers set or you might have finished for the night or whatever, people come up to speak to you and they say things like, you guys are great. You guys are going somewhere, eh? Or like, you know, you're better than X, Y, Z. And you're like, what do you think the future is in this? Like, playing covers. This is the pinnacle of it.
Yeah.
This is it. This is the stage.
Yeah.
I don't know what you were talking about. Like,
say,
where am I going with playing covers? That's not this.
What you say to those people is you go, oh, yeah, no worries. So we're going to come back and play an original set next Saturday. We'll see you then.
Yeah.
And they go, oh, yeah. And if those people ever did come to that, they'd come along and they'd probably only last 10 minutes because even if you were playing basically the same shit, if it's songs they don't know, it's not the same.
I will say that, and you may or may not have experienced this in Gladstone, but after prolonged, and I mean prolonged exposure to the habit of seeing original music, people start to come around. But like that was my experience in Rockhampton. I took a long time of people coming up to the door and going, hey, what's going on in there? You say, oh, it's $10. There's 4 original bands playing, and have them going, oh, fuck that. I can see a band for free in the front bar. Yeah, but they're playing covers.
Yeah.
And then just repeated exposure to like, oh, maybe I will check this out. And like, I'm talking 18 months, 2 years, journey to that. But I did see it start to turn around. But man, it's a slog. I try to give people credit. And I try, but people want what they want. It's hard to fight against. And again, coming back to that, like, it's hard to do something when you could just do nothing.
And the equivalent, if you're already out in the town as well, the equivalent of doing nothing is walking into a pub that's got some free music on or whatever. But if you've got to pay, there's not only like a financial barrier, but there's also like this physical.
I may not like this.
Well,
this is a gamble. I don't know.
Exactly. And so it's easy to go, well, I'm not going to gamble my $10 that I'm probably going to spend on a drink later tonight I don't even remember having. People don't put that shit in perspective, but it's that bringing a market, so bring a product to a market. I always fuck this up, but basically you've got a product and you're trying to find a market. So you've got live music, it's original music, you like it, you know it's good, you're trying to find people that like it. Whereas if you're playing covers, there's a market for people that just want to hear the same shit all the time and be able to turn around occasionally and go, oh, that's right, there's a band on.
Here's a phenomena that I wonder if you've experienced, Doug. Who wrote the list of songs that are universally accepted that work in a covers set?
Yeah.
Because seemingly they're the same everywhere, and no one ever wrote some official list of songs, but they're seemingly the same, at least in Australia, everywhere you go. Everywhere you go, you will get called to play Horses by Daryl Braithwaite.
Yep.
You will get a, Cold Chisel call.
Kaysan.
You will get Kaysan, Flame Trees, maybe if it's a little classier.
Yeah. I want some Barnsey. No, I want some Farnsey.
Weirdly, I'm surprised Farnsey doesn't come up more, but I think musicians know that's most Farnsey stuff is actually pretty hard to play.
Yeah.
And so you don't get a lot of calls for Farnsey.
Yeah.
Generally, a covers band will put on You're the Voice in between sets.
Yeah. Yep.
But you don't dare. I don't know whether do musos not dare to play You're the Voice? I know there are some. I've seen covers bands play You're the Voice and stuff, but
it's not really on the list.
No, it's not.
Yeah. I would say so.
Hang on. Here's a question for you. Of Farnsey's catalogue that you know, would you take a crack at to perform in your cover set?
I can't think of any names right now.
I reckon Two Strong Hearts would be a cracker.
That'd be good.
Because it'd be good on an acoustic guitar.
What's the one that there's like a real party one that he does? I can't think of it.
Oh, not like Pressure Down or something like that.
Something like that. It wouldn't be You're the Voice. Put it that way.
Yeah.
It would not be that one, and it's not even about that song being too difficult. It's that
you got to do it justice.
Well, it's such a crowd thing. You're better off just putting it on the playlist in between.
Totally.
Because I don't know. It doesn't. I think it speaks to what you're saying about the fact that who wrote the fucking list?
Yeah, what is that?
Because it's not
when
really
did that
on the
become
list.
Accepted?
It's I've got a list of about 60 to 80 songs, and
40 would be your minimum,
and
you'd want 40 minimum.
I'd say out of the, let's say, 100 songs on rotation that you hear at most pubs everywhere, there's probably 20 or 30 of those that I don't play, obviously, because I got a smaller list. But also the thing that people forget, and a lot of people that book venues for covers acts and stuff that they forget, is if you're in your 60s and you're booking a covers act for your pub that has an average age of 25, or probably 21 to 40, the songs you grew up with don't really matter anymore. I'm not playing Beatles and Rolling Stones songs and shit. People that are out
of Doobie Brothers and
not even that shit.
Right.
I'm playing late 80s to mid 2000s songs.
Yeah, what you'd hear on any regional radio station.
And a handful of 70s and 80s songs that are staples I'll still keep in there. I'm surprised that I went and played a 21st one time and they wanted to hear What About Me by Shannon Knoll.
Shannon Knoll's
not by Shannon Knoll, but you know what I mean.
Whoever the fuck did it originally.
Yeah, back in the day.
Does Shannon Knoll know does he know he's a meme?
Yeah, he knows he's a meme.
I didn't get the feeling that he did initially.
He knows he's a meme. He doesn't care, but he's not going out there being like, "Hey, I know I'm a meme. I'm leaning into it." It's the kind of person that's just like, "I know people like to make fun of me. But that's just me. But whatever." And I have a couple of friends that had unironically had tickets to go and see Nolsey before the pandemic. And fuck those people. So,
have you ever seen the footage of him performing at Threadbow? Absolutely fuck-eyed.
I haven't, but I can almost imagine exactly how that played out.
Look it up. Put that link in the comments.
I'll put that link in there.
Please do.
Link stamp.
He is utterly fuck-eyed. Oh man, it's great.
I almost don't want to see it.
It's Schadenfreude of the highest order.
We're getting a bit deep into the time here, Tim. Should we start with our movies? Have you got a movie you want to talk about?
Flick,
if you will.
A flick. I going on my Nicolas Cage bent that
Yes.
I brought up last week.
Yeah.
Gone in 60 Seconds popped up in my Disney Plus. yeah. And I was like, you know what? Let's ride. Let's do it.
But let's definitely talk about that. But I will say, I wasn't going to talk about it this week, but recently I watched Ford versus Ferrari.
Oh, cool.
Right? I'm not normally into car movies.
I've not seen that.
But the one thing that I did get out of that was that Shelby was in it. Like Shelby himself's in that movie.
Oh, right.
And I remember that it's the Shelby Mustang in Gone in
Eleanor.
60s. Yeah, Eleanor,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I was like, that movie's great in its own right. But the whole time I was like, they were shitting on Mustangs, actually.
Right.
Yeah. So even though Shelby had the Mustang, the guy that drove the Ford in the Le Mans, race, he didn't like the Ford Mustang. He wasn't a fan of that, like the original Mustang and stuff. And I was like, "Fuck you, Eleanor."
Yeah. Tell
me about Going in 60 Seconds, Tim.
Well, like
in 60 seconds, go.
Going back to it, I realized just like how many people's careers really kicked off with that movie.
We had an Angelina Jolie.
She was admittedly on the up at that point, at that time anyway. She was kind of on the upward swing.
True.
I'm pretty sure she had done Tomb Raider by then.
Yeah.
But, you got in this movie, you've got Giovanni Ribisi.
Yep.
There's Robert Duvall.
Yeah.
You've got Timothy Olyphant is in it.
Fuck, he is too, isn't he?
Delroy Lindo.
Yes.
Scott Caan is in it.
It is Scott Caan, isn't it?
It is Scott Caan. Vinnie Jones in his second.
That would have been just after Lock, Stock, right?
No, it's his first American film.
Oh, first American film, yeah.
Yeah, it's after Snatch and Lock, Stock, and then that's his third film total. First American
Vinnie
film.
Jones playing
with
Vinnie Jones.
With one line. Sphinx, he doesn't speak.
Right, yeah. Actually, so he's not really playing Vinnie Jones, then, is he?
So I read some trivia about it, was that that character, Sphinx, was supposed to have no nose and he wore a pair of glasses. That's why he's called Sphinx.
Yeah.
And he wore glasses with a fake nose on it.
Right.
But then they gave Vinnie Jones the role and he was like,
fuck you.
I'll be fucked if I'm doing that.
Yeah. I'm Vinnie Jones.
Yeah.
Employ me to be Vinnie Jones.
And who? Oh, and Christopher Eccleston. Pre-Doctor Who, Christopher Eccleston.
Oh.
In one of his very first American roles as well.
Right. Man, I forgot how many good...
Yeah. There's a ton of people in that flick.
And so many good moments. You know what I miss, right?
Yeah.
Did you ever watch the originals Gone in 60 Seconds?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
That was it's a cool spectacle because
but there's not much story to it.
There's fuck all.
It's just all car chase.
Just a big car chase.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there were a lot of people that were like, the new Gone in 60 Seconds, it's not the same. First one was just a big car chase. They didn't really make, this is it's kind of like the Jungle Cruise thing, I guess, of you could be as pure as to try and make it very little story and more about the thing, but they really blew the story out and had fun with it. Gone in 60 Seconds kind of feels like they got handed the reins of, hey, you've just got to race this car around a bit.
Here's the concept,
but just make whatever story you want.
Build something around that.
Yeah.
So I read the location of where they steal Eleanor from is exactly the same.
It is.
As where he stole the original one.
Right.
From, as well as something towers.
Yeah.
In Palm Beach, and
so many good moments in that movie.
Yeah.
My favorite thing as a kid when I watched that was I thought it was so cool, the blacklight trick of having all the cars written up on the wall, but then the blacklight, and then the cops find the blacklight and they work it out. Just little things like that when I was I think I was 10. What year did that movie come out? Do you know? Was it bang on 2000?
No, it was earlier. No, I lie. It was 2000.
I think it was bang on 2000.
It was 2000 because my friend Ben Wilson and I saw it at the movies. Ben Wilson's a year younger than me, but we both did the school stage production that year, and we did
Gone in 60 Seconds.
West Side Story, and every night before We do that thing. That,
Yeah.
Let's ride. We do that and I filmed that little bit of Nicolas Cage doing that, and I sent that to Benny Wilson.
Yeah.
The other day, I was like, "Watch this, thought of you, bro."
Cute.
Yeah, I got a lot of bromances, mate. I don't just see you.
Oh yeah. Well,
Right.
I understand that. That's fine. It's a polyamorous.
It is a bro amorous.
Yeah.
There's a new term for you.
Mm.
But it, like, was just as fun. Like nearly 20 years on. Whoa, wait. It is 20 years on. 21 years
Plus
on.
a bit. Yeah.
Oh dear, I'm getting old.
Fuck me.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, 21. It's just as fun. And
Really, the thing that I think they got right with the remake is that the original one, you go, holy shit, that's so cool. They're doing all that shit for real.
Yeah,
but it's
yeah.
not. The car chase doesn't really tell a story in the first movie. It's just look at all the cool stunts we can do.
Yeah.
Whereas the car chase with Eleanor, like, it's its own story inside the movie. You know.
yeah.
It's so well shot.
So the song. This is a little bit of a detour.
Yeah.
You know the song at the start of the movie when like it's showing like the inside of the clock and it's moving.
It's
And
Moby.
Yeah, Moby. I can't remember the name of the song. Could
I
be
can't
Flower.
either. Yeah, it is Flower.
And it's like bring Sally up, bring Sally down.
Yeah.
That song. There's a CrossFit workout to that song.
Okay.
And it's utterly brutal. We
I
should
have
do it.
heard of that.
Where you squat when it's like bring Sally up
and
bring
down.
Sally down. And you think that's 60 or so squats. It's no worries. When it like because there's a bit where you got to bring Sally down and then sing "Oh Miss Luce is dead and
you
gone."
got to hold it at the bottom of.
Brutal.
Yeah.
Absolutely brutal. And then you can add weight. You can do it with a barbell as well.
Have you ever played the Roxanne drinking game?
No.
Very,
Very
brutal as well, where you trade off between Roxanne and Red Light.
Yes.
Every year if you're on the Roxanne team, every time you hear Roxanne, you got to take it to swig, and whew, it's pretty.
There's a workout to that
mean,
as well.
if you do that with shots,
You did.
that's the end
You did.
for you.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah, fucking what a banger. Oh my God, that movie would probably be in my top 10 movies, which is don't punish me for this, guys, but I'm a simple man. I like
It'd be in my
simple
top
pleasures.
10 car movies.
It'd be in my top 10 movies just purely based on the nostalgia of how much I latched onto that movie.
But like Timothy Oliphant, man, like he was so young,
Yeah.
but he's just got like this acid tongue.
Yeah.
And he's just the offsider to Delroy Lindo. He doesn't actually really need to be in the movie.
Yeah,
To be
yeah.
honest. They've just added him as this like smart mouth kind of guy.
He's perfect for that shit though,
He
man.
is.
He's the
He's like,
perfect support.
When he talks, like Delroy Lindo's talking about how he's like got to go home and explain to his wife about this and that, and he's like, she is mean. And Delroy Lindo's like, what? It's like, she can be mean. Like, it's good. There's just like this great wordplay between them, man.
It's like when you get Brad Pitt in like a supporting role or something, right? If you get a leading man, someone that's such a good leading man on their own, and then you fit them into the role of a supporting actor,
And they have the humility to take it.
They just
and do
burst
something good.
with goodness,
Yeah.
because they know it's not their job to be front and center, but like when it's on them, you get just pure concentrated goodness.
Yeah.
I love that shit, man.
Oh man, people really underestimate like Brad Pitt and Leo DiCaprio
Yeah,
as having like, because they had that like real like Hollywood heartthrob tag.
yeah,
People really wrote them off as pretty boys for so long.
yeah.
Man, they can act.
Yeah.
Those two are just actually fantastic actors that wouldn't need to look good in a role. And both of them have shown that for them to be good, they don't have to use their looks. You know, you look at something like The Revenant for DiCaprio,
Yeah.
you know, or like, you know, Fight Club or, you know, whatever for Pitt. Although they both can trade on it as well.
Yeah.
Like You know, you go and look at like The Aviator or Gatsby, or, you know, and then you go back to like California or Thelma and Louise for like Brad Pitt, where they're literally objects.
Matthew McConaughey.
Oh yeah,
Really
same,
good example.
same.
Yeah, so I watched because he had a what do you call it, a memoir or whatever he released, you know, like a biography that he put out.
Yeah.
And he did some interviews and stuff. And one of the things that came up was a big turning point for his movie career was that he was so deep into the rom-com business that he got offered another rom-com that he didn't say what it was, but they ended up making it anyway without him. But he got offered $14.5 million to do, and at the time his paychecks were closer to, you know, sort of 7 or 8 million, and someone offered him like almost a double in pay for this one, and he turned it down because it's like, you know,
I'm so sick of this shit.
I'm sick of it, and it's time for me to make a change. If this will be a big payday, but it could be the final nail in the coffin of, you know, the rest of my career. And
was that about the time of the Renaissance?
What did he
Matthew
take?
McConaughey Renaissance?
Yeah, pretty much. I can't remember what he took instead. But
Please tell me it was Magic Mike.
No, it wasn't. It was before. There was something before that.
Yeah, okay.
But whatever, I can't remember what it was, but it was good.
The drug movie.
No, it was before Dallas Buyers Club.
That one.
Yeah.
No?
But it was that was the trajectory he put himself on, you know?
Yeah, that's sick. What a run though. Interstellar.
Yeah.
Like
Interstellar, Dallas Buyers. He also did what was the other fucking...
Was he in True Detective?
Oh yeah, he did True Detective. Yeah, that was amazing. That was so good.
Like, yeah, dude just had a run.
Absolute banger, yeah. No, he was killing it.
What's your flick? Are we going to get into the Suicide Squad, or are we?
Yeah, look, let's do it. It's been released, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Fair enough. Right. Well, let's talk about it. So, 5 out of 10.
Yeah, like I'm definitely splitting the difference on that. Like from the 9.5s and 9s and whatever that it's
really?
getting online.
It got really good reviews.
People are really frothing it, man.
It's placebo.
I have a theory on it. I'm going to go with a 7.5. And we've already spoken about this. I do wonder whether it's like it's 9.5 as compared only to its predecessor, because it is a 10 out of 10 compared to that.
Yeah. Or maybe it's getting review bombs positively.
No, these aren't like user reviews.
Right. Oh,
these are critic reviews.
Yeah.
They're giving it 9s and 9.5s, like Empire Mag and that sort of stuff.
I'd really like to know who's reviewing it that highly. And so I go back and look at other stuff they reviewed and then judge them harshly on it, because the problem that
I will say,
let's bullet point it.
Since we've discussed this already, I will definitely concede a few points on the movie. I don't think it's a 5. I don't think it's 5. I would be happy to downgrade my 7.5 to a 7, but I certainly don't think it's the turd you think it is.
I don't think it's a turd, but let's quantify the rating system for me, right?
All right.
And this will probably change, so don't hold me to this. But in my head right now, the reason I'm giving it a 5 is, to me, anything that's sort of like a 7 upwards is something that you'll go back and you want to watch again. Something that you would rewatch. Anything between like a 5 and a 7 is something that you would not choose to rewatch. If you're at a party or, you know, you went to someone's house, they decided to put it on, you wouldn't be mad about it. Anything
four and below?
4 and below.
Actively avoid.
Is like, you've wasted my time and I'm frustrated with you. And if you...
Have you ever watched a 0?
Yes. And I walked out of it.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Like a cinema walkout.
A cinema walkout. There's a backstory to this cinema walkout
now
too.
I want to hear about that movie.
So I bought a ticket to go and see, it was a comedy called Best Man Down, right? terrible.
Never heard of this.
Yeah, exactly. So it was probably 2011, let's say, right?
Yeah.
So I bought a ticket up in Gladstone, me and the missus, to go and see Best Man Down. We're just like, oh, we just want a comedy. What's on? Oh, this is on. Looks okay, whatever. There's the guy who used to be in a British show called My Family, who was like the older son who was a bit of a, idiot, but he was like the eldest, big, tall, lanky guy.
Okay.
And the movie is 3 British guys come down under. Is it Best Man Down? Maybe no. Best Man. It was a different name. I think it was not Man Down Under. Anyway, the premise was British guy meets an Australian chick. Him and his mates go to Australia for the wedding.
This is sounding somewhat familiar.
And Olivia Newton-John is in it as the mum. Terrible. I can't remember who the dad was, and so the whole thing is it's a British-made movie that all of the humour hinges on Australia.
Oh no!
But where the plot thickens is we bought the ticket to go and see this movie, and we walked into the wrong cinema, and we walked into the movie Chronicle. Do you remember Chronicle?
Wait, are you giving 0 to Chronicle?
No.
Okay.
No.
Because I actually know a guy in that movie.
We walked into the movie Chronicle and we sat down and we'd gotten in there just after like the very start of the movie. So we'd already missed
And you're like, what the
first couple of minutes, right? And we walk in and we're sitting there and actually, no, we hadn't missed the first couple of minutes. We walked in, sat through all the trailers. It came on and we're like, okay, is this a trailer or something? Right. And
this doesn't seem like the vibe.
5 or 6 minutes into it, we're like, this is the wrong fucking movie. So we picked our shit up. We found the cinema we were supposed to be in. We went, we sat down and we watched the next 15 minutes of Best Man Down or whatever it was.
As you can tell, regional cinemas, security is
amazing. So
top
good.
notch.
And so we walked in, we watched 15 minutes of this movie and we're like, this is fucking disgustingly bad. It is just all shitty cringe humor.
Wow.
There's no laughs. Everyone's dead silent. And we went, you know what? Fuck this. Let's go
and
watch
back
the
and
other
watch
movie.
Chronicle.
And we went back and we watched Chronicle. So
amazing.
To this day, there's 10, 15 minutes of that movie I haven't seen, but we've still got the gist of everything. And Chronicle was great, but the movie that we walked out of, dead flat 0. It was, you could just 100% see there was not going to be a single laugh in it.
Okay, trivia about Chronicle. So in that movie, one of the guys in the main group of people that gain powers is an actor called Alex Russell.
Okay.
And Alex Russell is from Rockhampton.
Fuck off.
Yeah. And I used to act with him at a little theatre group in Rockhampton. And
let's ride.
Let's ride. Let me tell you, this is some real humble beginnings because he was terrible. Right. He was a terrible actor in the play that we did.
Right.
I played his father in the play. It was an Australian play. I can't remember. It's called like The Holiday or something. Right. It's like a real classic Australian stage play.
Yeah.
And then years later, I hear he's in this movie Chronicle. I'm like, oh man, I got to see this.
Yeah.
This is gonna be a train wreck.
Yeah.
And man, he put the work in. He was real good.
He must have got the bug for it and was like, right, I want to do this, but I've got some work to do.
He did because he was average.
Yeah.
Anyway, but he started to get a role on because he got a couple of other roles. And then I heard that he had auditioned for The Flash in the Justice League movie.
Right.
And I was like, Jesus Christ, he might get that. That'd be a good casting.
Yeah.
And obviously that didn't go his way. And I haven't seen him in much recently. So he either came back home to Australia and he's just doing his thing here, or maybe maybe the steam ran out. I don't know. Or maybe he's doing some rad bit parts that I've just not seen.
Some people give up. Also, it's really easy to think
I don't think he has. I think he's still there.
It's not really easy to think that if you don't see an actor around in the public eye for a little while that they've just gone off the radar, but they might have gone to do stage stuff. They might have gone to directing and producing. I forget about that shit,
But honestly, I've probably shit on him a little bit there with his acting skills. But like I said, he really
sucks shit, Alex.
But no, man, he must have really doubled down and put his time into the craft because he
Chronicle was a great movie.
It was a great flick. Yeah,
I really liked the found footage sort of thing. You know what I didn't like was Suicide Squad. So the problem I had with the original Suicide Squad was obviously there was production issues and stuff, and so by the time that they actually finished filming it, there's all these changes, there was reshoots, there was re-edits, there was blah blah blah, and it was just a mess.
Apparently there's a David Ayer cut out there in the same vein as the Zack Snyder.
But then some of the interviews I've seen with him make it seem like, you know, his cut isn't necessarily the ideal. Like he still sounds like
he was hampered in the making of it as well.
Yeah, okay. You know, like it doesn't sound like there is an ideal movie out there on the cutting room floor.
There's not much. That's a mess.
Yeah, and
that movie's a mess.
Rightly so. Walk away from it, start again, and everyone. So the problem I have with that movie was it felt like they were going for a bunch of moments strung together. They didn't really have the story worked out. And the way that it all cut together, not only did you not care about it, but also it felt like a bit of a labor to get through.
Oh, my God.
I'd give that movie like a 1 or a 2. Like I'm angry, you've wasted my time. But if it was on the TV, right, and someone had it on, I'd be like, fuck this, I don't want to watch this. But I wouldn't yell at someone for putting it on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You go, whatever.
Well, that's an interesting choice.
Yeah. Let's talk about shit instead of watching the movie, and there can be some eye candy and an explosion or whatever.
It's number 1 on Netflix at the moment.
What is?
The original Suicide Squad.
Well, that was the thing too, was it didn't get super badly reviewed by people watching it, right? People said it was shit, but it didn't get, because I don't know what the Rotten Tomatoes for it is, but I know there were still a lot of people that were like, oh yeah, you know, it wasn't great, but whatever. Some people just literally will just look at the TV at whatever's on and not give
shiny neon things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, it's bright and colourful. Oh my God. And you know, even though it's R-rated, I'm sure there's a lot of fucking kids that are watching it because it's...
Wait, which one?
The original one.
I don't think it's R.
Oh, wasn't it R?
No, this one is.
Right. Okay, fair enough.
This one is the original one. I think is.
But the original one is so bright and colourful, and like wouldn't be surprised if kids are watching it. Problem I had with the new one was the characters feel a little less like badly thought out, but then they don't really work together very well. It feels like
that's the point.
A bunch of the no. But what I don't mean like the writing and them working together as a team.
Right.
I mean
the ideas don't work well together.
It kind of feels like they had a bunch of character origin and development worked out, and then they've just put it all on a whiteboard and gone, there we go, that's the movie. As opposed to writing, like the story feels super weak. I don't care about any of the people in it. I'm not invested in the story. I'm not, you know, there's Marvel movies that I don't love, but I still feel like were well-written movies.
Yeah.
This movie doesn't feel like a well-written movie. And unless you really love the characters and you're really there for the DCEU, there's nothing there for me as a casual viewer.
Yeah, fair call. Upon reflecting on a couple of things about it, like Peter Capaldi's character, the Thinker, was a real waste. Like, he really, you could almost remove that character from the movie.
He was just a bit of exposition.
He really was.
Yeah.
And other than just, he gave them a reason to go to that strip bar, because that's where he hung out. And then really, he was just kind of like there to explain who Starro was and then die. Spoiler alert. Which is a real bummer, because like the Thinker in the comic books and whatever is a high tier Flash villain.
Yeah, okay.
And you know, and was even like the big bad of the Flash season 5.
Right.
Like on TV, and like was a real threat to them, like because he was able to like his thought processes were so fast that he could actually think faster than Flash could move, and could like teleport himself like faster than Flash could move.
Okay, yeah. So they've just wasted him then.
Yeah, I was like, oh, fucking right, okay. Like, because he's meant to be one of the like most high IQ people in the DC universe. You know, he's probably like, you'd put him on par, like in the Marvel universe, you'd put him up there with like, you know, like MODOK or, not Doctor Doom, but like, you know, I think like he's one of the, like a key intelligence in the universe, you know, like, you know, Marvel has its like Reed Richards and, you know, Tony Stark and Hank Pym and Doctor Doom and, you know, like the Thinker is up there in that pantheon in the DC universe.
Just like crazy intelligent. Yeah. Well, so you're my authority on DC, right?
Yeah.
So
because I'm a big apologist for it, but like I am constantly let down by their movies.
Yeah. I mean, and
but I will find something in every movie to like.
And that's the thing, is there were moments in that movie where I was like, that was kind of funny, or I like what they did there and stuff. And also I like the subversion, so obviously more spoilers, but like at the start, there's pretty much the whole team dies at the start.
Yeah.
And I kind of like Pete Davidson, I was like, he's going to be the first one to go.
And he was.
But I like the subversion of like, right, they just killed off the whole team straight away. Okay, cool. That's kind of funny, whatever. But so can you talk me through? So Flula Borg?
Yeah. The Javelin.
Is he a character in
He's a joke. He's like a lot of these people are like Batman villains from the 70s and stuff, where they had like these ridiculous villains. They would get writers come in and they'd like want to put their own stamp on. They'd want to bring a villain that would end up being like one of Batman's, you know, sort of big arch nemesis, you know, like they'd want to put their own stamp on it. So Polka Dot Man is a Batman villain. There's one called Kite Man. There's a guy called Condiment King. You know, Javelin is one of them. But then like you see like Sean Gunn's character, the guy, you know, in the prison, there's a dude with like, he's got like January, February, March written around there. That's a guy called Calendar Man. Calendar Man is a Batman villain as well. Brought mostly to prominence in a comic called The Long Halloween, where like there's basically like there's a big a murder that takes place on like significant like holidays, and so the character the serial killer ends up being called Holiday, but obviously one of Batman's first suspects is Calendar Man.
Right.
And so he goes to visit him in prison, and he's the one who suggests that maybe it's the Joker, and then he moves on to the Joker and like goes from there.
Okay.
And it's set like really early in Batman's career. It's like set like year 1 or year 2 or something.
I did think it was funny that Sean Gunn got a credit in the opening credits. Oh no, wait, no, it wasn't. I think it might have been opening credits, or whether it was just IMDb. But there was something came up, and like he came up pretty early in.
He's also Weasel
of people that.
He's also Weasel.
Weasel is barely a like even this anyone could make those fucking sounds.
But it's his brother.
But that's what I mean. I was like, oh, he's oddly high in the list.
He's Weasel,
but considering that like he's basically nowhere in that movie.
He gets two roles. That's why he's up there.
So Javelin, Blackguard. Is Blackguard somebody?
I actually don't know Blackguard.
Okay, so it was probably just a gimme that they were like, hey, we need someone to hang some shit on.
I don't know Blackguard at all. Bloodsport is a Superman villain.
Yeah.
And there's been 2 Bloodsports.
Yeah.
There's an African American Bloodsport who was the original one, and then the second Bloodsport was a white guy who's a white supremacist.
Right.
And he stole the technology, and the second Bloodsport, you know how like he constructs like the gun and puts pieces together to make different types of guns.
Yeah.
The second Bloodsport could like teleport in any type of weapon that he wanted. He had like a teleporter that Lex Luthor created for him. And essentially he was meant to be Deadshot from the first movie.
Yeah.
But Will Smith didn't want to return.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So they changed it to Bloodsport and Idris Elba was originally cast as Deadshot.
Yeah. I will say the other thing is that I did like John Cena in this, and I am glad that he's getting a spin-off show.
Yeah.
Which is I liked him for it because I feel like he has the opportunity to really like make a name for himself as the sort of semi-comedy sort of, kind of like Arnie did, basically. Yeah. The Rock really wants to be Arnie, but he will never be Arnie. Yeah. But John Cena could be.
It's interesting though, like what that character did, and then because I thought, surely his show must be a prequel, because like seemingly at the end, spoiler alert, he seemingly dies, and I was like, it must be a prequel.
Yeah,
and then obviously they revive him and like they recruit him in the like post credit scene.
Yeah.
But also now, how are you meant to like him at all?
I don't think you're supposed to. I think that's what's good about it, is you're not supposed to like him. It's not even anti-hero. It's going to be like but
he's an outright villain now. He literally turned on them.
Yeah, no, he turned on them, but he didn't turn on peace.
Yeah, true.
Right? And one of the things I didn't like about this movie was you get the moment with Polka Dot Man of like, why is Polka Dot Man? Like, how did this happen to him? And let me just let's all just stop everything and I'll just give you the story and all the exposition and then we'll go, oh, okay, and then we'll move on. And then there'll be the scene with Ratcatcher. It's like, so, what happened to Ratcatcher 1? Oh, well, let's just stop everything. And Bloodsport gets his own
one of those as well, yeah.
And so you keep getting these things where they go, okay, no one fucking really knows these characters. Like the mainstream audience doesn't know any of these characters. This isn't the Batman
or Superman that you have a point of reference for already.
Exactly. But most people have zero idea of what the fuck these characters, who they are and what they're about. And so we've got to stop and do exposition, and that's fine. But the way that it's done kind of feels very stop-start. Like, hey, we had a scene where some shit happened. Okay, we're going to tell you who this character is.
As something else happens, we'll tell you. Man, like,
I know, it just didn't... It felt... For a James Gunn movie, it felt weird. I didn't watch Guardians of the Galaxy I knew nothing about any of those characters.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there were scenes like that, but I don't think back to those movies and going, those movies were good, but they just kept stalling. They kept like going into a stall of like, fuck, okay, now we've got to tell you who these people are.
Rocket kind of had a scene like that in the first movie where he kind of explains that he was experimented on and stuff.
Yeah, but I know that those scenes still exist, but what I mean is with Suicide Squad...
Did it feel like it was a stall?
It felt like they had to fucking keep... They couldn't let the character develop, characters develop. They had to keep stopping and explaining because they realised that the story didn't really allow for character development.
To come out organically.
The nail in the coffin was the Rick Flag thing.
Killing him?
No, him being like... I'm sick of never knowing what's going on and answering to these people that lie and blah, 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 and I'm going to turn on them. I'm going to turn on the government by getting this hard drive.
Oh, right.
That to me felt completely unearned. From just someone watching the movie, that felt totally fucking unearned.
Yeah. I actually kind of wonder, like... it's never really established in this movie, and it's sort of a bit vague in the first one as well. It's like, is Rick Flag one of the Suicide Squad, or is he there to like babysit them?
He's the minder.
In this one, he feels like he's one of them.
Yeah,
it doesn't feel like he's like employed by Waller.
No, but he is though. That's the thing, is that he's the minder, right? He's the one that they're always...
But that's what I'm saying. In this one, it feels more like he's actually been recruited like all the rest of them. Like he was a prisoner as well.
He did say, the actor...
Joel Kinnaman.
I wanted to say Schumacher, but that's wrong. He did say that when he was talking to the director about it, James Gunn, that they knew they were going to have to sort of approach it differently and refresh the character a little bit, because in the original one, he was a bit of a joyless, fuck this,
he's literally
I'm all army. And,
Like,
whereas in this one, it kind of feels a bit more loose. So the characters, you kind of earn that moment, but you kind of don't. And so the fact that he turned, and then you have this, it just felt like, hey, we need to kill off Rick Flag.
Yeah. So we're getting along in time.
Mm-hmm.
You had a chat topic that you wanted to get to.
I did, and it's a sad one, but hey,
let's get into it.
Let's fucking do it.
Let's get into it.
So there was a sketch show in like the 2000s called Whitest Kids U'Know. It was kind of a bit like, imagine like Arnie Donna now sort of thing. Imagine a classic 90s sketch show, but with the weird sort of irreverence of Arnie Donna. There's a lot of sketches about, like just weird sexual shit and stuff that was completely nonsensical. They had a whole sketch that was called Sex Robot. And it was literally just one of the guys in like a cardboard shitty robot suit walking around singing this song, just sex robot, and like the cops being like, what do we do about, and they take him to court, but the whole time he just keeps, the whole gag is that there's a robot saying that and the public doesn't know what to do with it.
Also, they took it out into public. It wasn't just on set or anything.
No, it was a scripted thing, but it was like the two of the guys from the sketch thing, the whole thing's scripted. So like they come out as cops. They're like, who's this sex robot guy? And like, what do we do? And we can't make him stop. And we have to take him to jail, but he's annoying all the people in jail. And so we've got to do. And so they end up giving him the chair.
Oh, that's wild.
But it's just all these crazy nonsensical, just perfect timing too, because it was the verge of the internet.
Yeah.
And they're bringing out this sketch show that just...
I can see that sitting alongside Jackass.
Had real internet sort of like...
cachet.
It's like Schadenfreude. It's things that don't make sense.
That's not Schadenfreude. Schadenfreude is like taking pleasure in other people's misfortune.
Is it though?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I always fuck that up. But so basically it's that real sarcastic, stupid, nonsensical internet humor of the 2000s. It's 4chan style shit.
Yeah.
Anyway, what I want to talk about was Trevor Moore, who was kind of, the adopted sort of leader of he was the guy that went on to do the most sort of sketch stuff afterwards, died. I'm not really sure how, but as someone who has been binging that show for the last 10 years, I've been following everything they do. The guys recently, having not done any sketch stuff together for quite a long time, started their YouTube channel up again.
Oh, no.
They started getting together and reviewing old clips and giving behind the scenes stuff and reminiscing about it.
Oh, that's cool.
And yeah, so they've been doing that for about 12 months. And apparently there was an accident. He was only 41.
Oh.
And he passed away. So what I wanted to ask you about was, I know you're not super familiar with him, but what's the one in the last sort of couple of years? What's the celebrity, not celebrity death, but the death of someone that's a creative that you admire that really got to you?
Carrie Fisher.
Yeah.
Carrie Fisher's the one that got to me.
Yep.
There comes a moment, like, especially because, the Star Wars sequels and everything were on, that you start to realize just like the years that are on and the mileage that's on Harrison Ford, Mark Hamill, and Carrie Fisher. And, there's already been a lot of, there's been a bunch of the original actors that have passed away, obviously, like Peter Cushing, died, David Prowse is dead, Peter Mayhew died, Chewbacca, Kenny Baker, who's R2-D2, they all died.
Yeah.
But of those, Alec Guinness, he's gone. But of those three, the sort of the trinity of the Star Wars, movies, you realize that you're like, fuck, Harrison Ford could go anytime, all that sort of stuff. And then I remember I was at home, it was because it happened in December. She passed away in December. And she had a heart attack on a plane and she didn't die straight away.
Yeah.
And I remember going, oh no, not Carrie, no.
Yeah.
No. And I was like, I think deep down I knew, like,
beginning of the end.
Yeah, it's beginning. Well, and as she passed like 3 days later.
Yeah.
Because like knowing, stuff about Carrie Fisher, like she had a pretty long and storied, substance abuse problem in her early years, all that sort of stuff. And, that stuff takes a toll on your heart. And
she didn't have a huge shelf life, into she like you wouldn't have expected someone like her to live to 100.
No.
No.
But I thought perhaps she would last a little longer.
Yeah.
But also I kind of feel like, and that in the couple of years prior to that, and especially around the sequels coming out and whatever, but she had she put out a book of her autobiography and all that sort of stuff.
She was doing like a one-woman show as well.
She was doing a show. She started doing stand-up again.
Yeah.
And I really felt like there was like this real Carrie Fisher renaissance happening. And what I think is the most tragic of it all was that if you look at the 3 sequels, each of them, while introducing a new cast, each of them was intended for them to have a movie that was like each of them had their tentpole movie.
Yeah.
The Force Awakens was Han Solo's movie.
Yeah.
The Last Jedi was Luke Skywalker's movie.
Yeah.
And The Rise of Skywalker, which wasn't always meant to be called The Rise of Skywalker, was intended to fully be Carrie's movie for her to really like bring it home.
Yeah.
And they ended up making it her movie, just in a different way.
Yeah.
And like she never really got to do that. And like the funny thing was she said to J.J. Abrams, like, it was nice to work twice with you or something like that. And he was like, no, we've only done one movie together. And she's like, and then like she died. And then like she got to like, he used all of that footage from The Force Awakens to make The Rise of Skywalker. And she was like, he said something in an interview, he was like, she knew that like somehow she knew in the universe, like she would get to work with him again. And I was like, man, that's nuts.
That's so fucked up.
But
man.
yeah, it really got to me, man. And I was, like I said, I was at home in Rockhampton, and that was before I brought like all of my Star Wars collection stuff back home to Brisbane. And like I dug, that's actually what like made me dig it all out. Yeah. Because I went and pulled out, and I must have found about, I think I'd easily have 15 or so figurines of Leia.
Yeah.
Like easily. And yeah, I just dug them all out and like lined them all up and just took photos. It was like, tribute to Leia.
Isn't it easy to forget too, especially with roles that get recast a lot and stuff? And the fact that they had all grown older and that they still found a way to put them in, because obviously it's set later and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. There's some movies where, really, ideally, you wouldn't use an old, like Die Hard 5, for example, would be fucking great if it wasn't Bruce Willis that's already over the hill. That's like, fuck this, I don't want to do this. I'm super old. I don't give a shit anymore. It would have been great if you could have got...
Imagine that was just a spy movie and it was like the Jai Courtney character just solving the issue of Chernobyl, like solving the mystery of Chernobyl, or going after...
It could have been a better movie without...
Yeah. If you didn't... And in fact, I reckon that script started as that, and they're like, we are looking for a Die Hard 5. Do you reckon we can shoehorn John McClane into this?
Well, okay, better example, Mad Max, right? So Quentin Tarantino was saying he didn't want to watch Fury Road because to him, Mel Gibson's Mad Max. Right. The fact that Mel Gibson still exists, you should be using Mel Gibson for Mad Max. He is Mad Max.
Yeah.
But then the case
I mean, at that time, Mel Gibson was box office poison.
Exactly, right? But so... Quentin Tarantino eventually ended up watching it and was like, okay, this is a really excellent movie and I can deal with it.
It is a sick
film. But there was a lot of people that, it didn't suffer for it. There's a lot of people like, oh, I'm not sure about this movie because like Tom Hardy's not Mad Max.
Yeah, correct.
But then you start to realize, well, the benefit of that character in particular is you can cast somebody else and it's more of anthology rather than a continued character. Mad Max is more of an idea than he is an actual person.
Yeah. As long as the V8 Interceptor's there, no one's going to give a shit.
Exactly. But
leather jacket, V8 Interceptor.
But there's no other Leia. Carrie Fisher is Leia, right?
Yeah.
You don't get to recast Leia. But isn't it weird to think that all those figurines that you've got, right, if you draw a cartoon character, like most Batman figurines, I imagine, they don't have to be a specific, Michael Keaton, whatever, because with the cowl on, you can't really tell the character underneath. But Carrie Fisher is Leia, and therefore all of the toys that are made they all look like her, and her actual face is immortalized in all of this stuff forever, as opposed to a cartoon where it's a timeless picture that can last forever, and it isn't, the voice could change or whatever. But how fucking crazy is it to think that you play a character, even once you play one character in a really iconic movie, forever you are that character.
Yeah.
Like how fucking strange is that we not only are if you take people from ancient times and you show them that we capture people and we put them inside a glass box. That we also capture someone in a wax, it's like a voodoo doll.
Yeah. Speaking of like actors that get like their one character for life, I saw an interview with Wayne Knight on Conan this afternoon from when he was like back in the day, and he's in Space Jam. I forgot that he was in Space Jam.
Right. Yeah.
But he's like, obviously, he's always forever going to be Newman.
Yeah.
But then like you realize like, oh no, he was also in Jurassic Park. He was Nedry in Jurassic Park. He's in Basic Instinct.
Right. Yeah.
He's in the like interrogation scene where she crosses her legs and the whole thing, like
that was him.
Yeah, and he was like, "Wow, this dude's," and he's in Space Jam. I'm like, "Wow, he's done so much more than I give him credit for." He's just always Newman to me.
Yeah. But that's the thing is that you forget how strange it must be to be a person that is also a character. I mean, the voice acting side of things must be really rewarding for people that don't really enjoy the public eye, because you get to do all the stuff a normal actor does, except your face isn't forever tied to this thing.
I'd be kind of shitty if I was a voice actor in Hollywood at the moment, because there'd be so much work getting eaten up by like actors.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Because like this whole, like, the new series from Marvel is coming, the What If ones, like it's all animated, but they've got all of the actors from the movies to come and do the voice acting for their animated characters. Normally they would be like, we're going to, because everyone's time is a premium, we're going to get like, voice, like, the people who played the voices in the Star Wars Clone Wars cartoons, they didn't get Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen and Samuel L. Jackson, and they didn't go and get all of those actors. They got a whole bunch, and even Tamira Morrison. They didn't even get Tamira Morrison to come and do all the clones. They got this guy Bradley D. Baker. Yeah, and it's like, there's a whole bunch of people who made a career out of being voice actors. Yeah, and now they're getting like, because, I don't know, maybe it's the pandemic, there's a little less work on, or they can record it remotely, all that sort of stuff. Big actors are sort of taking those roles as well.
It'll be big streaming services as well. So like you look at Netflix. Netflix has got quite a few cartoons where they trade on the fact that, hey, you like this actor? Well, this actor's looking for a little bit of extra work on the side that isn't regular acting shit. So what we're going to do is we're going to market this show that's a cartoon that could have had anyone being the voice actors, but we're going to sell this show on this actor even though you never see them, and people go for it. I know, like, F is for Family. I haven't watched a bunch of that show, but if it's...
who's in that? That's Bill Burr,
That's
isn't it?
Bill Burr's show,
Bill
right?
Burr,
You watch that show to listen to Bill Burr rant. You're just getting more Bill Burr. A lot of comedians are doing it because you just get some more Bill Burr with your Bill Burr. And... That's the thing is I think you're right, is the voice actors must be fucking
I
really
love hearing
up in
Bill
arms.
Burr just go to that like comedic pitch.
Oh, he's got a
Where
real...
he gets up real high like this. Yeah.
Yeah. He's perfect for voice acting that one character.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he can't do... And this is the weird thing too, right? Voice actors, usually chameleons.
He really should be like... Bill Burr just feels like a character out of King of the Hill.
Yeah. I can't remember his name, but... Well, yeah, I mean, that whole thing feels like King of the Hill.
Yeah.
But I can't remember the name of the voice actor, but the guy that does SpongeBob, I think it's Kenny...
Never watched it.
Bob Kenny. But so the guy who does SpongeBob actually does like 15 other
so
popular
many,
cartoon voices. He's an absolute chameleon, and like he's used so much stuff because he can do so many different voices.
Yeah.
But then you get a big actor come in and do a particular thing, and they only have the one voice, and you know it's them and their voice.
Yeah.
But they get that work because people know that voice, but it's not because they're a vocal chameleon. It's just because, we can slap their name on it.
Yeah.
So,
well,
yeah, we need to wrap up. Hopefully the lockdown stays away. We don't have to do another Zoom episode. I'd much prefer it like this. This feels good. Yeah.
Good to see you,
Well,
Doug.
it's all about the couch, isn't it? It's not about us.
Yeah.
It's about the
Who
couch.
wants his green velvet goodness?
For the audio listeners, here's a little bit of
ASMR.
ASMR. Oh, yeah. You like that, don't you? Don't tell me you don't. But yeah, see you next week.
See you, Doug.